Now, from your trusted team of meteorologists at Panhandle Weather, this is your evening forecast update.
And a good evening. Meteorologist Chris Smith here with the very latest as far as the threat of severe weather. Plus, we're going to take a look at the tropics and the latest on Melissa as it continues to churn just south of Jamaica. Meteorologist Dan Nyman in with me as well this evening as we've been tracking showers and thunderstorms, especially to our west since early this morning. But as we talked about the other day, this kind of scenario where we have this low pressure area and kind of a cutoff low to the west is a big tease as far as the timetable to get the showers and thunderstorms here, and we are still awaiting those. And it's not even a foregone conclusion that we're going to end up seeing severe weather overnight tonight, but it's still thunderstorms develop south of Mobile and eventually make their way here. Right now, things are all quiet across northwest Florida. As we can see, taking a live look back over into Destin tonight, we have cloudy skies there. Seen some rainfall today. All the heavy rainfall, though, has been back to our west, in particular over towards the Orange Beach area, where they saw 6-7 inches of rainfall there. Panama City, dry conditions right now. Got someone out there swinging, but looking over across the bay, temperature right now 71 degrees. Winds are out of the east at 9 miles per hour. And over into Panama City Beach, I see the umbrellas are buttoned up there this evening over at Sharky's after probably a pretty big bike week there, but things are much quieter as the bikes have gone home and we have the beach to ourselves. Here's what's going on outside right now. Live Doppler radar across northwest Florida. You see the showers making their way from the east and pushing back towards the west. As far as out over across our coastal waters, we've seen some rainfall out there, but for the time being, we're getting a little bit of a break as far as that. We are seeing showers and thunderstorms back over towards the mouth of Mobile Bay. We've seen, obviously, the flooding that was out there over near Foley and the Gulf Shores area. Those showers and thunderstorms continuing to develop this evening. Earlier today, we had the showers and storms that were along our coastal waters. We had a storm south of Pensacola that literally didn't move for several hours. Eventually, it drifted its way on shore in a much weaker form, but now we're seeing the flare-up of showers and storms out towards Mobile Bay. Notice the movement, though, of these storms. They are from the south and up toward the north, so we're not seeing a whole lot of progress of those storms moving to the east, which tells us it's probably going to be during the overnight hours that we see the showers and thunderstorms finally find their way back over into our neck of the woods. Rip current risk elevated along our area coastline thanks to that east to southeasterly flow that we've seen over the course of the day today. Most of the showers, again, a couple light showers over towards Alpha. We had, again, there's a thunderstorm earlier this evening that was just south of Gulf Breeze over towards Navarre Beach, and then some more showers over into Orange Beach earlier this evening as well. As far as shear, well, there's been a little bit of shear offshore, diminishing as it moves towards the coast. One of the reasons why we're seeing is warm front is located just offshore. So all the active weather has been basically just out of over across our coastal waters. And then eventually we saw the warm front kind of pass over Orange. So we got into more of a juicy air mass here over to the west. But as far as our neck of the woods, you've probably noticed if you've been outside, there was almost a little bit of a coolish feel today. And it's because the warm front has been out over across our coastal waters, and we've been on the north side, the cooler side of that front. But we will be watching. If that front moves onshore, it's going to eventually bring some of that some of that instability that we've seen out over across our coastal waters and bring it onshore, and that's where that risk of severe weather, maybe even isolated tornadoes, would be. But there you see, there's another round of those showers and thunderstorms over towards Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. Meteorologist Dan Nyman in with me today. We've been babysitting the storms, watching Melissa, and a little bit of football too from time to time. We've been keeping an eye on things. What are the things that have kind of stuck out to you so far today?
First of all, the Eagles put up 38 on the Giants, so a good start to the Sunday.
Yeah.
But of course, in the weather world, harder if we ultimately see all of this sporadic activity start to pull together and form one big line that gets nudged towards the east with the cold front. That makes it pretty tough for us to see any of that prolonged water spout activity like we saw this morning with several different funnel clouds, water spouts, and even a couple of potentially confirmed tornadoes moving ashore over the course of the morning hours today. I think tonight, and as we start to see this activity fill in this region just a bit, you see some of these storms getting much more close together here. It's going to be harder for us to see any of that activity ultimately pull together for the complete duration of the evening hours tonight, produce any sort of water spout activities. Once again, we got mic issues. Looks like that's good. I swear I checked that, but we have mic back on. Maybe we should do mic checks before shows. Either way, we're basically watching to see if any of these thunderstorms kind of pull together and become one organized grouping, or if they stay isolated like this, they might be a little more prone to spinning freely. This morning, we saw isolated cells like the one you see right now sweeping in onshore. That one producing, that style of setup producing water spouts earlier today. If we don't see that this evening, it's a little less likely. And then, of course, we've got a warm front that's set a little north of the coast here, but if you were to look a little bit further off towards the east, you'd find that there's still a pretty long way to go for that warm front to ultimately move ashore. Earlier today, of course, we talked about some of the water spout activity. Here's one in Orange Beach, just offshore right there. Good camera work here as you see it sweeping in across the Gulf waters just towards the top of the screen. And now we'll find this evening that there's a chance for some of that activity back towards the western panhandle and especially into southern Alabama. The further east you live from where this map is currently positioned, the less likely it is that you'll probably see as much severe weather this evening. And of course, as you get north of the bays, really unlikely. So it's a very low threat of severe weather. A lot of caveats too, but we've got all sorts of time here in the Panhandle Weather Studio. We'll be tracking it either way. Earlier today, lots of rainfall too, so not just the severe aspect of things, but nearly 8 inches of rainfall as you look right towards the western part of Escambia County there. Orange Beach picking up on 7 inches of rainfall, Gulf Shores closer to 3 or 4 inches of rain, so pretty wet stuff with some of those thunderstorms. Boy, we could use that further east across the Panhandle as well. As you look across the country, big sweeping cold front from up towards St. Louis that dips down towards the Gulf and then pulls back west across the Gulf back towards Texas as well. Cooler, drier air coming in behind this system. That'll be something to look forward to once we ultimately see this slow moving north to south front finally start getting its act together and moving towards the east. Chris has drawn that front on for us here so masterfully. You can see some pretty light, steady rainfall across parts of Alabama and Mississippi. You've also got some up towards Tennessee and the pretty big rain shield there with lots of cloud coverage too for us so far. As you look towards maybe areas east of 331, been a lot of clouds today, just not a whole lot of rainfall. For many of us tonight, the next round of rain does take its time, not till after midnight tonight before you see those rain chances starting to pick up. About an 80% shot around 3 this morning, and that's around the time frame I think we'll see the most organized line of showers and thunderstorms. And then, of course, Chris, we've kind of dove into all of these severe weather threats here. You're looking once again back towards the western panhandle for the best chance of strong thunderstorms. There is that marginal risk as you look a little bit further off towards the east, but I think ultimately with that risk of severe weather, it's really destined and on towards the west and probably a bit further south than you see that slight risk region as well.
Yeah, that's been the thing. And over the course of the day today, if you look back out over across our coastal waters, we have that area of yellow. That's the slight risk of severe weather. And so earlier this morning, again, this is all placed based upon where the warm front is. And so as you move farther to the east, you're less likely to get into that warm sector. And so the severe weather risk becomes much more marginal as you move inland and then points eastward. So you see places like Tallahassee, Soft Choppy, St. Marks, up into Gadsden County, Quincy, almost no chance of severe weather. Jackson County, you're in a similar situation there. Up towards Chipley and Bonifay, very, very fringe as far as seeing any severe weather. That's just a marginal 5% chance. You get into a slightly higher yellow area there right along the coastline. And again, you just imagine that warm front trying to push its way onshore. And if it does, that's where you're a little bit more likely to see rotation, where you'd be more likely to see some of these stronger showers and thunderstorms. As far as the tornado threat, it's not, this is very much a borderline event. It's definitely not one that's going to go down into the history books, but there is a risk of tornadoes, and you see where that is. The area in green is a 2% chance. That means within 25 miles of where you are, there's a 2% chance of a tornado forming. So again, not entirely all that high of a chance. As you get into the kind of this brownish color there's a 5% chance. So you go from 2% here, 0% Bonifay, Chipley, Mariana, over towards Alta. You get 2% over through Weewa, Franklin County, and extending through to Funiac Springs and Crestview, and then 5% basically Panama City Beach through South Walton and central and southern parts of Okaloosa County, and extending over into the Pensacola area where we've already seen some of the more active weather. As far as the threat of damaging wind, we're looking at about a 5% chance. So again, that's extending just south of Interstate 10 for the most part. But again, those chances, generally speaking, are a little higher near the coastline, and as you move inland, they are a little bit lower. So when we talk about the chances of showers and thunderstorms this evening, notice we have cloudy skies out there. You see some more activity over towards the Pensacola area. The storm's kind of moving from the south to the north. Eventually, those storms that are south of the Mobile area will begin to progress their way off to the east, and that's what we're going to be looking for as we move through the overnight hours tonight with some of those storms. It's very much going to be a broken line of storms, and as we move into tomorrow, the sunshine gradually returns and we begin to kind of dry things out across our area, and you see how the winds turn a little bit more out of the north. Now, cloud cover is going to linger around through at least Tuesday, but I think by Wednesday we get another front that moves through. That will bring with it a small chance of some showers and thunderstorms. This is the HER model. So again, this shows a little different scenario. This is another model output showing the storms moving through Pensacola, 2:30 in the morning, progressing their way off to the east through 7:30 in the morning, Weewa, Bluntstown, Apalachicola, and then everything on the back side of that begins to kind of slowly but surely clear on out. The chances of seeing supercells, so we're looking here, there is some rotation in the atmosphere as we move through the overnight hours tonight into tomorrow morning, but again, most of it is confined out over across our coastal waters. Let me back this up, and I want to show it to you one more time. So again, notice right there, and out over across our coastal waters, a little bit more likely to see some of that spin in the atmosphere. But again, it's not sticking out as a great threat, but it is a threat. So we talk about it. And then everything quiets down. Now, this is the convective available potential energy, so the CAPE, and this shows the amount of energy in the atmosphere to get these storms going. And notice where the more energy is in the atmosphere as you get into the stronger storms. Where is that? All the colors are out here across our coastal waters. Where is it not? Very weak up across the I-10 corridor. So again, this is the dance that we dance tonight as far as how far onshore does any of this energy make it. You can see some of the energy a little bit higher down towards Apalachicola, obviously a little bit farther south. And then everything begins to clear out as we head throughout your Tuesday or throughout your Monday. So the chances of showers and thunderstorms increasing during the evening and overnight hours tonight. You'll see that possibility as temperatures drop down into the 60s across our area. But the big question will be those storms that are developing south of Mobile. When do they begin the progression to the east, and how much energy is there in the atmosphere for those storms to persist? Do we get the warm front to move onshore or not? So as we move through the next 24, 48 hours, you'll see our front move off to the east. There goes most of the shower and thunderstorm activity. Notice most of Monday, most of Tuesday during the daylight hours. This is primarily overnight that we'll see the storms, but most of Monday and Tuesday are pretty quiet, but the clouds kind of linger. Here's your next front. This comes through on Wednesday morning, and we'll have a few showers and thunderstorms with it. But one thing you're going to notice is much, much cooler air is going to be on the way as we head into your Thursday and Friday. So trick-or-treating, a jacket might be necessary, believe it or not. So cool, it will definitely feel like Halloween, put it that way. And that will be as we head into Thursday and Friday. So trick-or-treating on Friday, look at temperatures. At 4 o'clock will be in the mid-60s, dropping down through the 60s into the 50s through 7 o'clock in the evening hours. So again, much cooler air is on the way as we make our way over the next several days. And you'll see that in that 7-day forecast. Again, showers and thunderstorms, 50-50 shot for your Monday. Most of this during the overnight hours. Tuesday is pretty dry. Wednesday, there'll be a very brief chance of some showers and thunderstorms. But then look at that. We drop into the 60s for several days. Lows go down to the 40s. And this is at the coastline. I want you to look at these low temperatures for inland areas flirting with the 30s. 40 degrees, 42 degrees Friday. 46 degrees on Thursday morning, and then highs only 67, 68, maybe 70 degrees. So again, showers and thunderstorms tonight. After tonight, you got another chance on Wednesday. It's kind of fringe, but then that cool air and drier air begins to return to Northwest Florida. Dan, did you want to talk a little bit about what's going on with Melissa continuing to rapidly strengthen across the Caribbean?
Yeah, that's right, Chris. Melissa is starting to become a more and more potent storm here. Of course, already Category 4 strength as of the earlier advisories on through today, but it's really not just the winds that we'll be watching in these locations right here. It's also going to be things like the rainfall, which is probably the real headline maker, I think, as we get through the next 36 hours. The wind impacts will be significant, but the coast... but everybody's going to experience those rainfall impacts. There's not really any way to get around that as you look across the island nation there of Jamaica. We got a couple of camera views already pulled in here over the next couple of days. We'll be monitoring these across the Panhandle as we keep an eye out for the prolonged impacts from Melissa herself, which is continuing to strengthen at this time as well. There you see, sitting stationary right now across the central Caribbean at the moment, no movement towards the east, west, or the north, pinned as a result of high pressure that's kind of fed in across the Yucatan and stretched in towards the western Caribbean, and not a whole lot of steering current up to the north of this storm either. It's not until that Wednesday front that we were expecting where you'll eventually see a trough sweep in towards the eastern part of the country and provide an escape path for that storm to move towards the north. Melissa now showing a very clear and well-defined eye circulation. You see here just moving towards the very south of Kingston there, very well-defined and cleared out here. As this eventually moves a little more eastward, you'll start to see a bit more of an onshore flow of some of these outer bands of the storm, and that's going to begin that onslaught of prolonged rainfall as the storm also sits over very warm waters, and eventually because of that, you'll find that it's going to continue to strengthen too. Pressure still dropping here this evening. We're down to 933 millibars with max wind speed of 145 miles per hour. Still has a little bit left to go before getting to Category 5 intensity. We do, however, expect that to happen prior to landfall before the storm ultimately shoots off towards the north and east. So pretty significant devastating impacts expected from this one. That movement's going to take a long time before it ultimately starts to get going. And then once you see it actually begin to get going, you see it kind of race through Cuba pretty quickly, some of the central and southern Bahamas there, and then eventually we could see some impacts up towards Bermuda as well. Hurricane hunters were out there earlier today assessing the storm itself. You'll see as this aircraft gets a little closer here that it flew through and found about 145 mile per hour winds at flight level. I wouldn't be surprised though if there were slightly elevated winds within there as well. And then the models, still some disagreement as to when that turn happens, but still also pretty closely clustered once that turn actually happens towards the northeast. So eventually we are very confident that there's going to be no significant changes in that track as well. Melissa is going to be kind of a real big deal here towards the Caribbean, especially when you look at some of the rainfall totals. And Chris, I'm not sure if you have that graphic in here, so I'll toss this off to you. And no,
I have it.
You have a little better idea of what's coming next.
Yeah, I did. I did set it up. So here's what's going on. Thank you, Dan. We have the computer models, and again, these are, you go up here, and eventually you're going to find out, so official, that's from the Hurricane Center. We're going to have to keep an eye. Believe it or not, Bermuda could end up being under the gun of this storm as it moves up to the north and east. So as far as the intensity forecast, you see expected to peak at a Category 5 stats winds of 160 miles an hour. That goes in basically until Monday evening, early Tuesday, when it makes landfall in Jamaica, and then we see that fall that's going to be happening as it begins to weaken at least somewhat because of interactions with land, but also the dynamics, the environment that it's in. Right now it's in kind of a safe cocoon, able to exist. But as we move throughout time and things start kind of tugging on it, that cold front that Dan mentioned, that will start to make things a little less hospitable for our storm. So as far as the winds, this is the American computer model. So as we come over here, you see this is Jamaica right here. This is Cuba up here. This is Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and over there is Puerto Rico. But as you look at what happens with the American computer model, it moves to the west, kind of stalls out, but then what we're going to do here is we're going to zoom in on this storm as it moves across the island. Let me go ahead and I can do that. I thought I had it in there as a frame. There we go. So the GFS model, you can see, brings it in over more on the western side of Jamaica, up and then crossing over near Montego Bay. So a lot of the resorts and stuff are all up here in Montego Bay. Kingston is down here. Now, here's what I want you to pay attention to. This is Tuesday morning, so as we go back Monday night into Tuesday morning, if the storm is over on this side of the island, that means the winds are moving up in this direction. So Old Town Harbor, which is this area right here, and this is Kingston, this area is prone to storm surge. And the reason why is if you look right now on the map, it's like a big catcher's mitt. It's like kind of like the Appalachian Bay is for us, where it's just kind of a catcher's mitt. And so if you start bringing all these strong winds in this direction, it starts pushing all that water up through Kingston. The airport is at a low elevation. A lot of the downtown area is, and then over here towards Old Town Harbor there, and so it's going to be catching all that water, and the wind isn't going to allow any of that water to go out. It's just going to continue to push up. So I'm really, really concerned about storm surge in this heavily populated area down towards Kingston. Now, the other thing is, obviously, Jamaica is a very mountainous, relatively speaking, country. And so as you move up in elevation, it's able to squeeze out more of the moisture from the atmosphere. And so as a result, what's going to end up happening, we're going to get incredible rainfall totals that are going to be coming out of Jamaica, where pretty much the entire island, I think, will see at least a foot of rainfall when it's all said and done. And there'll be places that see upwards of 20, 25 inches of rainfall, especially in some of those mountainous areas. Mountainous areas obviously going to be prone to, they're going to see landslide potential as well. So there's our storm again. This is Monday night, Tuesday morning, crossing the island. It gradually moves away. The winds begin to die down, and it will continue to race up to the north and east. I don't think I'm going to be able to catch it. But there we go. So that's going to continue to move up towards the north and east. This is Thursday as it makes its way through the Atlantic. Now, as far as the amount of rainfall, let me bring this back here. I want to show you guys how much rain we might end up getting. And you see there's your storm down there. This is all, again, according to the American computer model. This is starting tonight at 7:30. The storm comes over to the west. Again, it crosses over. And look, you notice, like, if you go up here to this chart, white indicates 15 inches. And look down here. Almost the entire country is white. And that would indicate the potential of at least 15 inches. Right there, the model is saying 25 inches of rainfall. This is going to be devastating. As you come over into Haiti and the Dominican Republic, rainfall total is probably on the lighter side, but still heavy rainfall for parts of Haiti, also mountainous, and going to have a lot of issues there. This is Cuba, the eastern half of Cuba, with Guantanamo Bay over here. They're going to take it on the chin from this, and you see there's upwards of a foot of rainfall there. And that extends up through the southeastern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos Islands, all going to be potentially impacted. So we have Melissa out there right now. Nestor is going to be your next named storm, but so far we don't have any signs of Nestor. I'm happy to say, damn. But you know, it's when you it's crazy when you live in this digital world, and especially with what we're doing with Facebook and Twitter and YouTube in particular, that we've gotten a following of people down in Jamaica that are kind of starving for weather information, and they stumbled across us, and would become their kind of source of weather information as to what's going to happen. And you can kind of tell that, you know, some of the people aren't aware of what's going to happen, and honestly how bad it's going to be.
Yeah, it's been a very surreal experience, I would say, Chris. Obviously, you know, the internet, you're available for everybody, and the algorithm might just make that happen. But we really are hoping that if anybody is currently on YouTube and kind of tuned into this in Jamaica, who's watching the forecasts closely, to take every word of advice seriously, both from, you know, of course, the meteorologists that you might catch on the internet, but also more importantly, the local information that's being distributed right now. Because, you know, Category 5, Chris, you know, the Panhandle understands what that means, but then you add in upwards of 24 inches of rain, and it's not just the wind impacts that you're watching across Jamaica. The rainfall is going to cause all sorts of trouble, not just, you know, mudslides, but then flooding too. It really is one of the worst forecasts I've seen, although we'll see, of course, there's still time. Hopefully something could step in the way of this one. It just doesn't seem all that likely right now.
No, and you know, it was like that storm surge flooding, you know, is something that, you know, I'm concerned about. And you see, notice how the coastline is like this, and so if you start bringing all that water up there, because, you know, down here's our storm, so our winds are kind of going like this. So as this storm moves here and comes up here, and it gets closer, it's just going to intensify that surge of water and wind, in particular to the southern and eastern coast there of Jamaica. And then places like Montego Bay, if that ends up taking a direct hit just from the wind, you know, up near Rose Hall, which is up there in the northern part, up not too far away from Montego Bay, you know, they're going to see, it's going to be obviously devastating.
And the other crazy thing with Melissa, I'll clear this off real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Look at kind of the northwestern side of this eye as well. And hopefully I don't ruin things there, but you still have intensifying thunderstorms here on the northern side of that core wrapping around there. You could see almost the gravity wave spreading away from the center of this storm, even at 145 mile per hour sustained winds with still, you know, another 24 to 36 hours prior to landfall. You're seeing strengthening within this one. And as it continues to just slowly jog towards the west here, it's not moving at all quickly enough for us to see it kind of find a more hostile environment. We're off to the races as it continues to move, eventually off towards the north. I think the only thing that we could really hope for at this point, Chris, is maybe some sort of eye wall replacement cycle or something that could momentarily weaken things. It's not going to take it from a 5 down to a 2, but you know, you could be able to get the wind speeds to back off 30 or 35 miles per hour in kind of the best case scenario with the timing of that.
Yeah, and these are your, you know, chances of seeing various winds up there in Jamaica. These are for hurricane force winds. What are the chances of seeing hurricane force winds? Now, if the storm comes in on the western side and you look here and you'll be like, oh, you know, there's only, let's see, I think that's probably 30%. Yeah, 40%. So a 30 to 40% chance of hurricane force winds. And so, yes, the winds will be less on as you get farther away, if, you know, if this ends up being the center, but, you know, you still have storm impacts. You're going to still have storm surge. You might not have, you know, the worst of the wind that they're going to have maybe over in the central and eastern part. You're still going to have the rainfall, you know, so, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, how many different things are going to be causing issues over there in Jamaica. If you look here, this is waves. So there we go. 22 feet, 15 feet. You know, and you can see here already in the bays, you know, some of the issues that they're going to be having to deal with the waves. And then if you look here right along the immediate coastline, again, you're going to be just pushing all this water up, and it's not going to be able to escape. So it's just going to continue to just kind of flood some of these coastal locations like Kingston.
And then what's one thing that gets, really impressive with Melissa is the waves, Chris, after it kind of makes that initial landfall, because there could be 2 or 3 landfalls in the lifetime of this storm, but once it gets fully out into the Atlantic and you start looking down that 7th day on the cone over towards Bermuda, that's when things really get impressive on this American model with the wave forecasts, as you start getting into the realm of unbelievable with those wave heights in the 40s and 50s. But certainly not looking like there are many exit roads for this one. If you're in Jamaica right now, I would take everything you hear from official sources seriously. Obviously, it's important, Chris, to kind of run from the water and hide from the wind. But of course, now we're introducing things like mudslides to the forecast. So it is a tricky situation. There's really no way to get around that.
Yeah, as much high ground as you can get to, but obviously when you get 20 inches of rain, that's going to lead to flash flooding, which is going to lead to bridges and roads being washed out. But the expectation is to at least just get to high ground, and then after the storm, figure out how to get back to where you need to. But it's going to be a slow process, and there aren't a lot of roads between like the north and south side of the island because of the mountainous terrain. So a lot of the roads just kind of go right along the coastline and back around, but there are a few, like this one that runs kind of near Kingston and up towards Ocho Rios, that will move up along the coast, and then that's how you end up crossing over the island.
Yeah, so definitely not a great situation that we'll be following there for the next couple of days. Once you get up towards Cuba as well, I think the rainfall forecast still, I think we quickly missed that one, but you're still looking at your 12 to 18 inches of rain in another mountainous place. So the same sort of hazards exist, just with a slightly lower wind speed forecast. And then we'll quickly jump back to our forecast for tonight, because we are, of course, kind of seeing a quick return back towards some of the storm chances, maybe elevating a little bit more into the evening hours tonight. Right now, not a whole lot of activity is present out there, but as you look a little bit further towards the west, we are still seeing maybe an uptick or an increase in thunderstorm activity and intensity back towards Gulf shores and up into Fairhope, soon into Mobile. You've got this cluster of showers and thunderstorms, which is going to quickly start to maybe just expand a bit more energy down towards the south. The atmosphere back here west of the Panhandle's had its time to kind of reset and gear up for another round of showers and thunderstorms. And we'll be sitting here in the studio, of course, following these storms as they continue to shift inland and then weaken once they cross the front, and more come behind it. All of this activity, of course, expected to move off into that easterly direction eventually. A lot of questions today I've seen asking about timing for this second round of rainfall, if you want to call it that. At the very earliest, I think parts of the western Panhandle, maybe not until 9 or 10 o'clock tonight, but there's a very real chance that many of us will go to bed for several hours, and by 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, tomorrow morning, you could hear a little bit more of that thunder boomer activity outside sliding in from the west and hopefully moving a little more quickly, so you don't have to deal with it for all that long. Now, of course, Chris, I think there's a very real possibility that we don't see any severe weather. And if that warm front stays right around the coastline, it's kind of the best case scenario for us, because we get all of the heavy rainfall, which we desperately need with the drought conditions, without dealing with the wind or the chance of water spouts or tornadoes as well.
Yeah, that would be the ideal scenario. And hopefully, we don't want 7-8 inches of rainfall like they had in Orange Beach today, but I mean, we would definitely take 2+ inches of rainfall for sure. But it's going to take its time to finally get here. We at least are seeing the atmosphere kind of recovering over in that area, which already got pounded by storms earlier today. That it's rebounding. So, it gives me at least a little bit of hope that we'll be able to get some stuff going, or it will at least hold together as it eventually moves eastward across the Panhandle and closer into more of our neck of the woods.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing that just a little bit back west. As you get the lightning back on, it really puts into perspective how much stronger these storms are starting to trend. There, of course, is like a special weather statement in place right now as that storm moves on shore. But I think we'll see a lot more of these as they continue to kind of sit along that warm front, which is probably right in the vicinity of this red line, and you see that trying to lift towards the north, but to be fair, it really hasn't moved in any significant direction at all through this afternoon. And if it were to stay seated in that same position like we're seeing right now, Chris, it probably will be a pretty quiet night for us tonight.
Yeah, that would be ideal. We never want severe weather, but I would go ahead and take some rain and some rumbles of thunder offshore. That would be kind of what our ideal scenario would end up being. When we look at the amount of rainfall, let me go ahead and pull up a couple graphics here, and we'll look at rainfall.
Real quickly, I don't love the look. Not that it's in what we would consider our coverage area, but I don't like the look of this storm all that much.
You want me to turn off lightning?
Yeah. Certainly doesn't look as bad as you get on the velocity imagery, but you definitely can see if we go to now and then go look at just the radar presentation of this storm, definitely starting to develop a pretty classic look here. So if by chance somebody has tuned in and they're
It's a shear product.
Yeah. And that direction, obviously, is kind of towards the northeast. So if by chance you're kind of in this Fairhope or Robertsdale, Summerdale sort of area and you're tuned into us here this evening, I would at least have an extra level of caution and elevated notice or awareness as to what's going on, because that certainly could be something that becomes problematic as it shifts up into that in that bay region. You'll have plenty of time over water for that storm as well, pretty much all the way up to the population there. So this could be one that is concerning for those just into southern Alabama, Chris.
Yeah, you could see as that cell is coming up into Mobile Bay, there was definitely a little bit, at least a little bit of rotation in that as it made its way, is making its way up to the north. Let's see. I'm checking to see if there's anything in the. Okay. The Weather Service said that was a little. Well, okay. That was a little bit ago. They were talking about that circulation going to get uncomfortably close to the east end of Dauphin Island. It's still rather weak and broad, but closely watching it, thinking it splits the uprights between Dauphin Island and Fort Morgan, but not by much.
Well, that is certainly what happened. A good three-pointer there from a distance.
Also, Brian Kelly has been fired, so LSU's coach.
Oh.
So.
This is not a news station, Chris.
It's Sunday. We can talk sports. Let's see. Let's look at the rainfall. We are. So excessive rainfall. So this is the risk of seeing flash flooding. And then we'll put this in here too. And this shows the forecast rainfall totals. But there exists the possibility that we could end up seeing, more than that. Depending upon how things kind of play out here. What's the rainfall chance graphic? Is that under?
It's probably got QPF in the name.
It was percent. Oh, there. Yeah, I see him. Do you want me to drag him in?
Sure.
Okay. What do you think the chances are they drug these in order?
5%.
Yeah, definitely not. Okay, so today, tonight, tomorrow. Okay, I think we got these. So this shows the rainfall chances for as we move through the night tonight. You notice lower to the east, higher back to the west as we head into Monday morning. The rain chances remain pretty high across our area. But again, the general thinking is that as you move east, the storms diminish in intensity and weaken, and you get less of a chance of rainfall. And notice by Monday night, the rain chances drop off to about 20% in Pensacola, 30% over towards Crestview, and then by Tuesday morning, we're at 10% chances of rainfall. So we'll see a gradual decrease in the rainfall chances across our area. But overnight tonight, we expect those to be on the higher side. This was the, and this is Tuesday night, and we're down to like 0 and 1%. Let me bring up the, so this shows the flash flood risk. This evening we are into a slight category, basically west of the Apalachicola River. Again, as these storms move in, you notice that south of Mobile, they kind of are stretching up and down in a line, and then eventually that line will move east. But while that line is over top of you, you're going to continue to see the potential for heavy rainfall, and so training becomes an issue, and that could lead to that flash flood risk. We saw it earlier today over near Orange Beach, where we saw 8 inches of rainfall. Now the forecast rainfall totals over the next couple of days, again, lighter to the east, higher to the west, and near the coastline. So Inlet Beach, Destin, Fort Walton Beach would be more likely to see heavier rainfall than say Mariana, Blountstown, and Tallahassee. So that's what we'll watch. But the potential exists because of this training scenario that you could end up not just with 2 inches, you could end up with maybe 4+ inches of rainfall. We'll just have to kind of continue to watch that and see how the storms set up as they move from the west and off to the east across our area.
Yeah, so now the waiting game begins. I think we'll probably still have another 4 hours, maybe a little bit more, before we're really starting to watch for areas east of Pensacola to even begin to pick up on some thunderstorm activity. Many of you guys, though, especially Bay County, I think is closer to that 3 or 4 o'clock timeline. So a pretty long road to go with this slow-moving front, Chris. Probably won't be until tomorrow afternoon before you really start to see that mix of sun and clouds even turn back towards mostly sunny skies. I would hazard a guess, though, that within the next 24 hours, we still have enough clearing and enough absence of the rain activity out there on the radar to still find a pretty nice sunset tomorrow night. Otherwise, maybe some marine impacts out there early this week behind that front, even though the winds will be offshore, so those beachgoers won't be seeing as much of an issue. And final thoughts, Chris, anything else catching your eye here?
Not in particular. It was... But like if you go back, this is earlier today, just some of the wind reports and damage reports that they had over into the Mobile area. So that was for flash flooding up near Lillian, Alabama. That was measured 7.8 inches of rainfall in Orange Beach. More flash flooding over into Orange Beach, 43 mile per hour wind gust. And earlier we had, some water spouts, tornadoes that came onshore. Did we show that?
Yep.
Well, we did? Mm-hmm. Okay. I was probably working on something and wasn't paying attention. Or did I show it?
Well, you weren't working on anything.
Okay. So, well, here we go. Welcome to 50s. But yeah, they had water spouts that came on shore. That was all this morning when I woke up at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. It was already going. Here we are at 8 o'clock at night, and we still have nothing.
Same place, getting rain.
We got some rain, but that was about it. Most of the storminess has been set up here, but we do think eventually it's going to make its progress to the east. And unfortunately, though, that's going to happen during the overnight hours tonight. So it'll be something that we have to sit here, watch it, not get much sleep, but we'll be here to get you through the storms if they so develop. Again, this remains. I don't want anyone to like be completely freaked out. This is not a big severe weather event. It's not going to be the end of days, but there is a potential that we could see some severe weather, isolated tornadoes overnight. We could also maybe avoid that and just get a good old-fashioned soak in rain as those storms progress their way off to the east. But rest assured, we will keep an eye on it and we will keep you posted. A couple things, the Roku app comes out Tuesday at noon, I'm told. So that will be available for download. Still working on Fire Stick, Apple TV, and all the others. But Roku's big because it's 40% of the streaming market. So we will have that for you Roku folks coming out on Tuesday. But in the meantime, make sure to download the Panhandle weather app if you haven't done so already. We appreciate it. Make sure to give us reviews. Hopefully good reviews, but give us some reviews on that. That helps the algorithm of folks being able to find the app more easily. But that has the ability to alert you based upon your location. So obviously you want to hit the sack tonight, but you want to be awakened if there's severe weather. You can sign up and download the Panhandle weather app. Just make sure that you have the alerts that you want, like severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning, flooding, stuff like that, enabled, so you're able to get those alerts.
Well, I guess we'll wrap things up. I thought we'd be side by side here, Chris, but we'll probably have the radar on one screen, a couple more radar products on another screen, and Sunday Night Football maybe hidden in the corner too.
Yep.
We'll be here. That's the bottom line. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you, if not tonight, tomorrow on the channel as well.